Good evening. My name is Barbara Wissey. I'm the Language Arts Consultant for the Language Artists Unit of Study. It is my great joy and honor to introduce our two finalists tonight. It's been such a pleasure for me to work with each of these talented and creative students to prepare for tonight's celebration. Our first presenter is Casey Velasquez. According to her teacher, okay, we can give her a round of applause. According to her teacher, Ms. Chauvin, Casey is a well-rounded, well-liked student who is generous, observant, kind, a good listener, and a hard worker. Casey says her favorite subject is writing. She loves writing fiction so she can use her imagination. She likes reading too, but she prefers reading nonfiction on all types of subjects. She loves art class and gym. She's also a new member of the track team. When asked what she liked most about this unit of study, she said it was the chance to choose the two animals that she would use to create and name her hybrid animal. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce Casey Velasquez. Paper in your hand so that it's comfortable. There it is right there. Yep.
Good evening. My name is Casey Velasquez and I go to Sibley Elementary School. My teacher's name is Ms. Chauvin and my art teacher's name is Ms. Ford. Before I read my narrative and compare and contrast piece, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my thinking and process I use to create my image and my writing pieces. It started in art class. The first thing I did was create the foreground, the middle ground, and the background using watercolor, which Ms. Ford had already taught us to do. I really like my unusual sky. I started with yellow and then mixed it with many other colors. Ms. Ford taught us to use a little bit of paint and a lot of water to create a wash. And as you can see, that's what I did. The next step and process was to use lots of different materials to create my animals so they would have lots of details. You'll hear more about them when I read my story. The last thing I did to complete my artwork was to add all the extra stuff like the stars and the glitter, which I dabbed on with my finger to make the waters and trees shine. I also added the big red carrot, which causes the problem in my story. Notice the rest of the carrots are just plain small orange ones. I also mixed paint colors to add texture to the grass. I used yellow paper and glitter for the sun. I'd like you to notice the trees too. They're all different and there's even one dead tree. Once the artwork was finished, Ms. Ford gave them all to Ms. Chauvin so we could have them at our seats to look at when we wrote our stories. We also had a big poster of Matthias Alton painting so we could look at it carefully when we wrote our compare and contrast piece. My hybrid animal is a mix of a bunny and a unicorn. I thought of these animals immediately because I had a bunny when I was little and I saw a colorful picture of a unicorn on my tablet, so I decided to use a mix of these animals as the main character in my story. The first time I wrote, it was for practice and start getting ideas. The story sort of started in my head while I was working on my picture in art class. Then when I wrote my second draft, the story just kind of came to me since all I had to do was look at my picture to get my ideas. I made some little changes to the story after that. I didn't pick the names of the characters until the very end. When I read my narrative, listen to the first few sentences carefully. I hope you hear descriptions that match what you see in my artwork. I will now read my narrative followed by the compare and contrast piece. beautiful green farm, Sandy ran happily through a cool blue river that sparkled like stars in the sky. The clouds floated above. Sandy was very special. She was mixed with a bunny and a unicorn. Her favorite food was magic carrot soup. Sandy's parents and friends always said that she was kind, amazing, and brave. A week after the farmer planted his carrot seeds, something happened. While Sandy was playing beyond the farm, she bumped into Stacy. Stacy was a pig mixed with a bunny. She was as friendly as Sandy, and they became fast friends. The two friends began walking in the magical forest that surrounded her farm. They discovered carrots growing everywhere. Sandy saw a bright, shiny red carrot growing at her feet. Before Stacy could say anything, Sandy quickly ate it. Stacy knew that the red ones were very, very poisonous and exclaimed, "Don't eat the red ones!" But it was too late. Once Sandy collapsed, Stacy quickly mashed orange carrots and magic carrot soup. She forced Sandy to eat until she felt better. Sandy learned that good friends can be lifesavers. I will now read my compare and contrast piece. There are many similarities and differences in art. I will be comparing Poisonous Carrot by Casey Velasquez and The Broken Mask by Matthias Alton. These paintings are similar because they both have animals in them. One looks like a unicorn and the other a horse. Both paintings show lots of water that is shiny. Last, both paintings show a clear foreground, middle ground, and background. These pieces of art are also different because of their moods. My picture looks happy and nice, Alton's feels down and angry. Other differences are that Alton's painted in a realistic way, while mine painting is a fun, playful creation. The final differences in our art paintings is that my painting is a combination of two animals and that Alton shows a real animal. These two pieces of art have many similarities and differences. One similarity is that they both are creative. Something different is that Poisonous Carrot is a fictional creation and that Alton's is realistic. Finally, they are both still fun creations.
Our second finalist this year is Mirelli Lopez. Mirelli told me she loves school, but reading is her favorite subject. She gets good grades in math, but she doesn't love it. She feels the same about computers. She loves to type, but she says computers can get boring. She loves art and is given lots of opportunities throughout the week to spend time in the art room because she's in honors art. She's also a member of the honors choir. She told me she liked this project because it took more time than regular assignments. She said she had more time to develop both her art and her story. She said she also had the opportunity to read and talk about other students' stories and to see their artwork. She said it helped influence her when she saw and heard the ways other students were dealing with conflict, food, habitat, colors, and composition. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Mirelli Lopez.
Good evening. My name is Mirelli Lopez. I go to Quite Creative Arts Academy. My teacher's name is Ms. Herman and my art teacher's name is Ms. Brady. Before I read my writing pieces, I'd like to tell you a bit about this way of unit of study happened. Before we even went on our field trip to the Grand, we spent time in our classroom looking at the animals and the art we've been studying for our field trip. Our teacher asked us questions about what we saw and noticed in each one. I remember studying The Broken Mask by Alton and the Calder sculpture Bloodtail Dog. We also studied the Remington sculpture, the man and the horse, the snake, which to me wasn't very exciting on the paper. Visiting the galleries at the Graham on our field trip, we saw all the works we'd studied at the school. The one that was totally different from our picture was the Remington sculpture. The image was okay, but in real life it was powerful and full of energy. It turned out to be one of my favorite pieces on tour. When we got back to school, our project started in art class. We were told to choose 2 animals that were put together to make one animal. I knew pretty much right away what my animals would be. I wanted one that was big and rough paired with one that was small and gentle. This was easy because my favorite animal is a giraffe because of their big eyes and eyelashes, their spots and their long necks. The butterfly is my second favorite animal because it is delicate and colorful, so my dragonfly was born. I created the animal first. I had to redraw it several times to get the size of the wings exactly right. Then I took a lot of time planning and adding all the colors. Then I added the watercolor background. I wanted the sky to look like a sunrise since I knew my story was starting in the morning. I added some salt for texture. Then I added clouds from cotton balls that I ripped apart so they didn't look like cotton balls just glued onto the sky. Then I created the watercolor background. I added the sky to look like a sunrise since I knew my story was starting in the morning. I added some salt for texture. Then I added clouds from cotton balls that were ripped apart so they didn't look like cotton balls just glued onto the sky. Our teacher had bins and bins of materials for us to use in creative ways. I used many of these materials for flowers in the tree and the fallen ones on the beach. The trunks of the trees, the sandy beach, and the water of the lake. To make the seaweed look like it was moving, I used silly scissors that makes paper wavy. I knew I wanted my story to be an exciting adventure with lots of emotions. I added a house fire that actually happened to someone in my family who lost all their belongings, so parts of my story are based on things from my life, and in other parts, I just use my imagination to make things up. I will now read my narrative followed by my compare and contrast piece. A new home. One day on a cool beachy morning, a beautiful dragonfly named Maddie was going to do her morning routine. She went for a fly over the beautiful beachy lake. She went to go get her favorite flowers for her breakfast. A dragonfly is a giraffe mixed with a butterfly. It has a butterfly body to fly and a giraffe head and neck to get the flowers off the tallest trees of Enchanted Beach. Maddie met up with her best friend Jasmine, who was a mix of a frog and a lion. All of a sudden, a scream came from the other side of her, so Maddie and Jasmine flew to see what had happened. There was a fire at Maddie's house. Maddie was hoping that all her stuff was okay. The important thing was pictures of her and her mom. She missed her mom very much. There was a bit more fire to put out, so all the animals grabbed buckets and filled them with water and threw the water onto the fire. Maddie flew into the house, speed quick, and checked everything, especially her and her mom's pictures. She was relieved that they were not completely ruined. She was so sad that she started to cry. Everybody helped go around the house to see what had started the fire. One of her friends went to the kitchen and saw that the stove was on. She turned it off and yelled, "I know what started the fire!" Everybody came rushing in to see what it was. Maddie said that she accidentally left the stove on when she was cooking breakfast. She was so sad to realize she had caused the fire. Her friend said it was not her fault, it was just an accident. After the fire had been cleaned up, everybody went home, leaving Maddie all alone. Maddie gathered all her things that she could use, but she had nowhere to sleep, no water, no food, not anything. She tried asking some animals if she could stay with them until she can get back on her wings. 2 days passed and she still had nothing. and no place to go. She decided to ask one last animal if she could stay with them, and she said yes. She had an extra room in her house. Maddie was so relieved that she had a place to stay. The animal's name was Jazzy. She was a mix between a butterfly and a hamster. Maddie asked Jazzy a really quick question. She said, "Why did you say yes to me?" "Because you needed help, so I helped you." "Well, thank you," said Maddie. "You're welcome," said Jazzy. So Maddie followed Jazzy to her house. After a while, they got to her house. It was so big, it had a dining room, a pool, and everything you could imagine. The room Maddie was staying in was also big. Maddie thanked Jazzy for being so generous and letting her stay there. "You're so welcome. It's no big deal. It's kind of nice having company since I live alone," said Maddie sadly. "Why do you live alone?" asked Maddie. "Because my mom and dad died," said Jazzy. "Oh, I'm sorry," said Maddie. "It's okay. It's not your fault. Plus, I try not to think about it," said Jazzy. "If it makes you feel better, my mom died too," said Maddie. "I'm sorry." "Where is your dad?" asked Jazzy. "My dad lives on another island. I barely get to see him," said Maddie with her head down. "So let's go see him," exclaimed Jazzy. "Really? Really?" asked Maddie. "But wait, it's too much money for me." "Well, I'll pay for it," said Jazzy. "It costs a lot of money and, well, have you seen my house?" "Good point." The travels took a long time, but they finally got there. Then they got to Paradise Island. They saw all the beautiful colors. It might even be prettier than the Enchanted Beach. "Now I know why my dad likes living here so much," said Maddie. They looked everywhere for Maddie's dad, but they could not find him. Then they flew to the biggest house on Paradise Island. When they got to the house, they tried to look up to see the top of the house, but they could not see up that far. They got to the door and knocked on it. It took a while for somebody to answer. When they did, it was an animal. They told him all about how they were looking for her dad, and the animal said some exciting news. Her dad lived there on the 3rd floor. So Maddie and Jazzy went on to the 3rd floor into this really pretty room. And sitting in a chair was Maddie's dad. Maddie dropped all her stuff and ran over to her dad and gave him a big hug. "What are you doing here?" asked Maddie's dad through tears of joy. "My house caught on fire and I had nowhere to stay, but luckily a new friend I met let me stay at her house," Maddie said joyfully. Maddie's dad thanked Jazzy for helping Maddie. Maddie's dad said that she could stay with him at the house until she wanted to leave. Maddie said her last goodbyes to Jazzy and thanked her for the last time. She went inside with her dad and they lived happily ever after. Compare and contrast. When looking at The Sunny Island by me, Merle Lopez, and The Broken Mass by Matthias Alton, I see many differences and similarities between both art masterpieces. One similar thing is we both have backgrounds. Matthias Alton's piece is cloudy, and the background of The Sunny Island is a sunrise. Another similarity is we both show the weather in our pieces. The Sunny Island shows a sunny day. In Alton's piece, the weather is cloudy and it looks like it's about to rain harshly. The last similarity is we both have animals in our pieces. The Broken Mass has 3 horses that are pulling a sailboat. My animal is a dragonfly, a mix between a giraffe and a butterfly. And both of our animals are in water. A difference between The Sunny Island and The Broken Mass is Matthias Alton has cool, dark colors like a storm. He used blue and gray. The Sunny Island has warm colors. I use yellow, red, orange, and magenta to show the sunrise. Another difference is The Sunny Island is 3D and The Broken Mass is 2D. Mine is 3D because I have things popping out like trees, leaves pop out of the picture. The Broken Mass is 2D because it is flat and nothing pops out. The next difference is I didn't use blending, but Matthias Alton used a lot of blending. There is blending in its clouds and in its water. The last difference is I have texture in the sunny island, and the broken mouse doesn't. My texture is on everything. For example, the clouds are fluffy. Those are the similarities and differences between the broken mouse and the sunny island.
Wow. Thank you very much, Casey and Morelli. You are truly a tough act to follow. For those of you who I haven't met yet, I'm John Carfagno, Graham's Director of Learning and Audience Engagement. And Language Artists was one of the very first projects that I worked on when I started here at the museum 7 years ago. And I can tell you, over the course of 7 years, the museum never looks better than it does on this evening. So thank you all, and thank you to all of our artists who have made the museum look so spectacular, and for all of you for coming out tonight. So in her comparison piece, Casey mentioned that one of the things that was similar between her work of art and Matthias Alton's was that they were both so creative. And I can tell you, the curriculum team was absolutely blown away by the degree of creativity in this year's submissions. So much so that as we sat there with the criteria chart in our hand, reviewing the works of art that had come in, we decided we needed to do something different this year because there was so much great art that some works of art did need to be highlighted and called out. So I'm going to share with you these works of art right now. For instance, I had the pleasure of meeting Fernando Kimono Guerrera from Buchanan Elementary before I came into the auditorium today. And we were absolutely blown away by his masterful command of foreground, middle ground, and background converging on the horizon line. So great work there in Steve the Horsebird. So that's Steve. Audrey DeVries from C.A. Frost Elementary wove together textures and the most delicate details you've ever seen in this dazzling composition that is half horse and half eagle. So there we see. Jim Estrada captured our imagination and our excitement with his command of pattern and color right here in his work of art, Paravita, which is both a parrot and a Vita bird put together. Carrie Annabelle from Buchanan Elementary used a variety of materials to activate her art in a piece that features the turfly, half turtle and half bald eagle. So you can see the turtle there and the bald eagle. And last but not least, Wendy Silverthorne from Dickinson Elementary portrayed volume and space in a way that creates a really cool 3D effect in her work of art. So let's be sure to check that out. So I'm going to ask these students to stand up if they're in the auditorium and you see a work of art that is yours up on the screen. Be sure to stand up. There they are. So look around. And if you appreciate their work as much as I do, let's give a big, loud... So I mentioned, we have all been so excited today at the museum about our Language Artists exhibition. And I can tell you, our curators were out earlier today. So if you see one of these students, talk to them now, because once we start buying, the prices go up, and we want to be sure that you have an opportunity to get them while they're hot. And there is one thing here that I have. Christopher doesn't know this yet. I went shopping today in the museum store, and I found these, which I think are really, really cool. They light up when you write with them. So for our honorable mention artists, Fernando, I can see you. I have one of these. Diana from the Learning and Audience Engagement Division also has one of those for each one of our honorable mention recognized artists today. So be sure that you connect with Diana on the way out if you see your work of art up on the screen. So moving forward, we do have some very special people that we thank, without whom the museum would not be able to connect our schools with the power of art-centered museum learning. And I'm going to read this list, and some of these people are in the room tonight, so when I get through the list, let's be sure to give them a great loud Graham GRPS thank you. So we have Bill and Marilyn Crawford, James and Mary Nelson, the Peter C. and Imogene Cook Foundation, the Keller Foundation, Ted and Brenda Fry, Janet Gatherer Boyles and John Boyles, the Samuel Westerman Foundation, Till and Bernice Peters, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention Language Artists has received an unprecedented 3 grants from the National Endowment for the Arts. So these are the people we have to thank for tonight. And on top of the little trinkets that I picked up in the museum shop today, every student that has a work of art on view in the museum tonight will receive some special gifts from the Learning and Audience Engagement Division and from the museum. So we have postcards featuring your artwork. We all know that you're exceptional writers. You've demonstrated that to us already. So be sure to use these postcards to celebrate your great artwork and to stay in touch with some people and invite them to come back to Graham. Because one of the other things that everybody will receive is some passes to bring your family and friends back to the museum. And we have a beautiful certificate that recognizes your achievement as an exemplary language artist. Our finalists, Casey and Morelli, are also going to become year-long members of the museum. So we look forward to seeing you whenever you feel like it to come back to the museum. We have special parties, we have programs on Saturdays, and we really want you to continue your artistic journey here at the museum. So I'm about to sing us home. We have one of the most special moments of the Graham year ahead of us. Before we exit the auditorium, I am going to invite every student that has a work of art on view up to the stage. Our professional photographer is going to grab the first shot, so we're sure we get a nice clean one that we can put up on social media, so be sure to check that out on Facebook if you want that one. And then from there, we encourage parents to get in positions and grab that special photograph from tonight. Before we do that, though, I do want to make sure that everybody knows that once the door is open, the fun doesn't end. We've seen some amazing wild things, right? Our hybrid animals that our students created. There are some pretty nice wild things that are also on view in the exhibition right outside our doors by Maurice Sendak, so be sure to check that out. And there is a play space in there for families if you want to engage in a little bit of fun together. And then we also do want to make sure, too, that everybody knows nobody who is a kid is leaving empty-handed today. So on top of the awards that our language artists are getting, there's also a gift bag that has some snacks and some other fun stuff in it. So language artists, be sure to grab one, and then also your siblings, you get one too. The only thing that we ask is that you don't bring food into the galleries. There are signs out there that kind of let you know. In the lobby space, that's fine, but if you head into the Maurice Sendak exhibition, let's just be sure to keep our food in our bags. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay, so now it's my pleasure to bring our language artists up to the stage, and we're gonna have somebody help line everybody up, so let's do this.